Hey everybody, I'm TJ Majors, spotter of the 6th Cup car this weekend, the Xfinity car. Lovely road course racing.
It was lovely. Brett Griffin, spotter for Colleague Racing. And Freddie, are you officially on vacation?
Well, as soon as I'm done with this podcast, I am. What's up, Freddie Kraft, spotter for Bubba Wallace, Chandler Smith this weekend. Fairly uneventful weekend for me. What's up, Casey? Oh, wait a minute.
She was late like Casey.
Oh, she was late.
And
Okay,
she just
well,
flipped you off.
She flipped me off.
You
That's
can't
not
see me
very
back
nice.
here.
I know. I don't like this new setup.
I can make faces at
Carson
you.
can read my phone. So I don't know what's going on here. But no, Casey is off in Lake Como, Italy for her boat baby moon.
Where's that at?
It's in Italy. What is up, Carson?
Not a whole lot. Been moving, and I'm happy to be on here. I'm glad you guys finally listened to me and brought me on. So hopefully we can have some fun today.
Where are you moving to?
I'm still in Mooresville, just to a house actually. Instead of I'm done with apartment living finally.
Yeah.
So
Oh, house owner.
well, Kelly's a house owner.
Are you?
I pay her the mortgage.
Are you?
Does she charge you rent?
Absolutely.
That's not nice, Kelly.
No, of course she does.
She's rich. She
She's
should
a
let you live there
businesswoman.
free.
She's a businesswoman.
I mean, I'm going to go ahead and tell you, you would do the same thing.
No kidding.
So what'd you get? A 4,500 square foot house with a pool by
Gosh,
the lake?
no.
What do we get?
No, we're townhouse living. We're townhouse living. There's a pool, but it's a community pool. Might put one in my back patio. We'll see.
Is your proximity to Big Al's changed by much?
Maybe by like a mile. No
Okay.
worries there.
Okay, good.
I got a pool left over from where I had ducks in my backyard. One of those little Walmart pools. It's about the size of this table.
Yeah,
Little 8 foot
I saw
round pool.
where'd we dump the ducks off at?
At my buddy Joey's house. Yeah, I dumped the ducks
You
off.
remove the ducks.
Yeah, the ducks are gone. Well, we raised them, When I say we, very loosely.
We as in everybody but Brett.
I didn't do shit. But I got them to my buddy Joey's house, and, we drop them off, and they're domesticated ducks, right? They've never worked for food.
Domesticated.
They've never worked for water. Everything's just been literally given to them in a bale of pine straw, a little patch in the backyard, and they didn't move much, man. So the first night I dropped them off, my buddy Joey called me, and he's like, man, I looked for them ducks till 3:30 in the morning, and I finally gave up. I thought they were all dead already. And then at 5:30, I walked out there, and there they were.
Well, if that does happen, let's not tell anybody in your house about it. They've flown
Yeah.
off to the south
Yes.
for the winter.
They migrated.
Should just have John take care
I
of
can't
them.
I can't believe that. How was Keely like letting them go?
They were good, yeah, because they stunk.
Yeah.
And they shit a lot.
Wyatt had some, and they're disgusting.
Yes. They poop a lot.
Yep.
Like you've never seen anything poop.
So that we're not getting a new batch anytime soon.
No, there's no more ducks.
Are you gonna fill the pond in or the pool?
I legit don't know how I got talked into this one.
I showed up at your house one day and there was little baby ducks running all over the place, and it's not, there's really, you can't go to Brett's house and be surprised. Like you walk in and there could be 4 kids and crutches and cats and
You never know.
ducks and birds and there's no gerbils anymore.
You
Hamsters.
got dog treat Dave.
John took care of them.
John
you got
killed 'em all.
Dave eating a bowl of dog treats. I mean, there's really anything could happen at Brett's.
That's true.
I know what one thing he's not. I know one thing John's not doing.
What's that?
That's feeding that.
What was it? A guinea pig or
Is
something?
a guinea pig?
Yeah,
or
kill
something.
Fred.
Poor Fred. Rest in peace.
Fred's dead.
Anyway, what's up?
Sonoma?
Sonoma. It was. I'll tell you, it was a little chilly for normally Sonoma's like 100 degrees.
Yeah.
We're running to our
Greener.
cars to get an AC.
It's the greenest I've ever seen it.
Yeah,
Even
it
though
was-
it was only like a tiny bit green. It was
Yeah.
the greenest I've ever seen it.
I have some buddies that live out there, and they told me like that, because if you haven't seen a picture of what Sonoma looks like in April and May, it's astounding.
Yeah,
Like
it's way different.
So now we go in here June, and it's kind of burnt up, and it's more yellow than green. But it was greener. And the guy said it lasted longer this year, like from any other year. So I guess that's what we caught the tail end of it. But the racing was all right. It was a snoozer at some points, but that's kind of what road racing is at times, I think.
Yeah, I don't. Wasn't many mistakes. Like most of the time,
Well, I think the problem is we've talked about this 1,000 times. There was mistakes, but there's no penalty for mistakes anymore.
Well,
because
that,
there's
but
so
there's-
much grip.
normally somebody wheel hops or something like that.
They kind of did, and they kind of saved it easily, and they kind of grabbed a gear, and they went on and didn't even lose a spot.
Yeah, see, that's not how it used to be.
I was literally watching this race, and you guys are old enough to remember this. We used to see passing coming up the hill, literally getting into turn 2. We would see some passing. A guy like McMurray, some of the better road course guys, we would see some passing into turn 3, the left-hander. We would always see passing in 4, 7, and 11. Now we barely see passing in 7, and 11 is the only zone. And if you can't get through the second half of the S's, you ain't passing nobody.
No, because you could, like I noticed yesterday, even, at times in the past, like you could dive bomb a guy into 7 and he was done. Like there, you put him on the outside of the 7 and he couldn't. But now they just, the drive is so good with these cars that I think we passed you on the outside one. Like Brad pulled over to block one time and we just drove on the outside of 7 and got a better run off, and like that was unheard of back in the day. I feel like it's just the ability to just grab a gear and take off with these cars is,
that, and there's the way they took the curb away leaving turn 4.
Yeah.
Like that used to be a big deal there, is not going over that curb. Now they just run over there. It reminds me of the exit of the carousel at the Glen or something like that. There's there's racetrack there, just use it. Yeah. When they don't check up much leaving 4, there's no slipping there, then that creates less passing in 7 as well.
The 4 runoff to the left.
That's what I'm talking about.
It's just too much.
That makes the passing into 7 even less.
Harder, yeah.
Because there's no slipping off of 4.
Well, you don't slow down in 4 like you used to make the corner.
Oh, yeah. You just now it's a wide sweeping corner.
Yeah. It's definitely a lot different. I hate to blame a car, but it kind of is a car.
Well, I was gonna say,
It's just, even we raced side by side through the S's, and you couldn't do that before.
But if you look at the parameters of 4, you could easily change that and make it where they can't run off by 30 yards.
I don't know. So they do these things to make it safer, whatever, but there's still a wall right there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So what's the difference if you leave the curb there and make it harder on the guys? Or, honestly, it was probably safer before because they're carrying less speed. Now they're carrying way more speed there. And if they do hit right there, it's going to be even worse.
I don't know how much you guys could see it. I know you can see turn 11 from where you're at, but it's a long ways away from you. But during the Xfinity race, Larson hit those tires, the little tire clusters they had out.
Yeah, I saw that.
And it literally knocked the wheel out of his hand, and he almost wrecked. And that's what cost him the ability to have a chance to win that race. In the Cup Series race, in every single stage, they were hitting those tire clusters, and those Cup cars are so strong and made so durable, the bodies are, that they would hit them and they would knock the tires to the right, and it just kept changing the apex of the corner.
Yeah, I don't know. Obviously, you don't want to alter the track at all, but
they were.
Yeah, they were. You're making that corner shorter where you can take a different line through there. But I don't know. I don't know what to do to stop that because
anchor the tires down.
Yeah, but then you're going to wreck race cars.
Don't hit the tires.
But there should be a penalty for hitting the tires.
If there was a wall there, you wouldn't hit it.
Yeah,
you wouldn't be able to move the wall.
Yeah, for sure. Like the option is you can't. Like I saw, throw a yellow and put them back, but you can't. Like if you do that, we'd be fucking under caution half the race. So
we've never had this problem there though.
No, I don't. What's different? Like I don't understand.
This body.
Yeah, the car.
Yeah.
The car's solid.
Used to be when you hit them with the right front with a sheet metal, you would tear your car all to pieces. It'd be like hitting a Jersey barrier.
I saw the one video of LaJoy was next to us, and he hit it and just knocked it off to the right. And
didn't do anything.
Digging. Yeah. I don't know.
I don't like the course altering during the race. Carson, do you like that? Former racer, smart lady.
You've dealt with infield tires before.
Unfortunately. They're my arch nemesis. Lost plenty of races by hitting infield tires.
But so if do they reset them? Obviously,
they did. Yeah.
But I'm saying no. I'm talking about like back when she was racing. Like if
Back
somebody
when.
smoked a tire during a run but didn't bring a yellow out. Did you use that to your advantage or did they never really be able to do that?
More than anything, if they were moving them in, they wouldn't throw a yellow or change it or anything, which that would help. There was a time at Millbridge that we all got in trouble because we were basically running in the infield at one point. But typically if they get moved out, they throw a yellow and that sucks. But when they get moved in, sometimes it's kind of good to your advantage, especially if the bottom's better than the top.
Yeah, which that's what those guys were doing yesterday. It seemed like they could run a lot lower.
I've only seen a couple times where they actually, when the yellow came out, they actually pushed him back out, but that's because they were getting closer to equipment on the inside or something.
Yeah, I couldn't hear. I couldn't see where they were. It was like center off of 11, so you can't really see it from where we're at, or I couldn't anyway. But I heard like Brent Wentz, my spotter down there, was like, "Okay, Bubba, they moved those tires back just so you know." So obviously Bubba was utilizing wherever the hell they were because we had to tell him that he couldn't do that any longer. So. Yeah, I don't know. It's I would hate to see wrecking race cars because we've got these solid things in the infield, but there should be a penalty for hitting something that you shouldn't be hitting. So
I mean, just make them more solid, make them heavier.
yeah, put a wall in there.
I don't know if you put a wall in there.
Why not?
I mean, if somebody comes sliding down the inside there,
Just run the inside of the wall.
yeah, I don't know if we need a wall there. That might be pretty bad. Just make the tires heavier. I don't know.
Martin pretty much dominated that race. I mean,
Yeah,
many times the fastest car doesn't win.
He
Yesterday,
was. You could see he ran through the field and got to Denny, and then I think he went by Denny right before they pit for the first time.
He went by Denny. He kind of head faked Denny to the right, and Denny gave it to him. And Mike Joy actually said, and Denny slams the door. Denny was not even remotely blocking him, and when honestly he should have been. I don't know what a spotter was saying. I don't know who his spotter was down there. I don't know if he's looking at his camera or whatever. But Martin wasn't there yet. But by the time Martin got there, Denny tried to race him, and it was over.
Yeah, and that was Martin. When it leveled out a little bit there at the end, Martin was coming through traffic. I forget where the hell he started, but he burned his stuff up to get to Denny, and then once they were on equal stuff, it seemed like Martin was the class of the field.
Yeah, he was definitely a little bit faster. It was slow and methodical.
He was. I don't even know that he was that much faster. He was just that much better in traffic. For whatever reason, he's always been one of the best at being able to pass. But especially at that place. But he was even that caution when it flipped everybody and some guy stayed out. He was the only one that drove right back to the front. Everybody else kind of got there methodically, but he drove right back to second or third and then ran Kyle down and past him.
He was aggressive on them restarts too, which helped.
I mean, if you could be like Bubba was, we were running 20th, but we were making up 5 or 6 spots. Just if you could just be aggressive on a restart, because you kind of know where they're going to stack up. So we were actually utilizing the opposite lanes of the preferred lane a lot of times because coming up the hill, the right lane's going to stack up into 2. So if you run on the top, you get to run there. The bottom lane's going to stack up into 4 and 7. So if you could utilize those lanes outside, we passed a couple guys on the outside of 11. Where they're going to stack up. So if you could be aggressive, you can make up time. And then we saw there wasn't a lot of passing. So if you could kind of get in where you fit in and then, you could ride it out from there, it was a lot easier to just maintain.
One thing to notice, there was a lot of fall off for a little while. And then it's like once everybody got to that, and it's almost like once you burnt that part of the tire off, everybody was on the same thing, and everybody's lap times were almost the exact same.
Yeah, it's like we continued to fall off, but we all continued to fall off at the same lap time.
It definitely minimized though.
You would jump I saw this especially on Saturday. We would be running. We'd 8 or 9 laps. We'd be really good, not really good, but we were good. And all of a sudden, we would lose a second, like a light switch, and you're like, "What the hell?"
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, you must have screwed up." And then you'd never get it back. You just another 10.
I'm telling you, there's
10.
a layer or whatever they burn through, and then once you burn through that layer, you're done. And then there's still no whenever back in the day when we would race there, the guys. There were some guys that were really good on short runs, and there was guys that were really good on long runs, and that still never played off because I think everybody was on. I think once you got through that part of the tire, once you got 8 or 10 laps on your tire, everything was the same, and you could never take care of it. And they just got so much drive still. There's no, like you said, you can grab a gear and go. I know everybody's still complaining about need more rear grip off of 7. That's never going to go away. I don't care if you put 8 tires on the thing. They're still going to complain about rear grip leaving 7 at some point, and 11 too. So I don't know. It looked like there still wasn't nobody looked up on top of the track. Everybody coming up the hill right there, they're flying. They're stuck to the ground, leaving the corners, even leaving 7. You see a guy wiggle once in a while, but most time it's because he grabbed too much curb or something and it upset the car. And back in the day, the guys used to get super loose there. Just couldn't. And I know when they say they didn't have any rear grip yesterday, compare that to 6-7 years ago. That's not having any rear grip.
They say they don't have rear grip now, and it's hard for us to see it. Used to be when they said they didn't have rear grip,
skating.
We could tell.
Yeah, and you saw it. Yes, TJ's I'm sure saw this. Them guys coming up the hill in the 2. A couple times you could see them oh, he's overshot the entry. It didn't matter.
No.
You know, like he'd just get it wound up and take off again. Like in years past, like they'd be almost floundering off on the left.
It was like a 3 or 4 foot air. Like, when they come up there, they're not going to make it. And it was literally a quarter or half a car length at most. It wasn't like they were missing their corner. But
one thing I say about this 19 bunch is when they win in dominant fashion. Like there ain't a lot of races where Martin squeaks it out. I mean, I remember he gave that race away. Was it Michigan or Kentucky where Custer won?
I don't remember. I think it was either Kentucky or Kansas.
Okay. Yeah. So, like, he doesn't win a lot of races that are just like nail biters. I mean, he goes out there and kicks your ass when he wins.
Yeah. And I mean, I think now, I don't know this for any official status or anything, but I mean, can we put the Martin Truex retirement to bed, do you think? Or, like, I feel like this guy's having way too much fun.
Well, here's the thing, though, man. Like, it requires a lot of money to keep a guy like Martin around, and when you look at Joe Gibbs Racing, they're the dinosaur of the sponsorship model right now. When you look at most of these cup teams, they have a plethora of sponsorship from a lot of different companies. But when you look at what was the 18 car with Kyle Busch, M&M's was the key partner, and they took the majority of the races. Bass Pro Shops, the key partner, took majority of the races. FedEx, the key partner, took the majority of the races. And man, those Ally at Hendricks, same thing, right? But for the most part, most of these cup teams have to go out and piece together a 38 race schedule. And Gibbs is not doing that. So if Bass Pro Shops is committed to coming back, I think you're 100% right. Martin Truex will come back because he's having fun. You look at last year, he's high enough in the points to make the playoff and doesn't do it because he doesn't have a win.
Yeah.
And here he is this year with a couple wins under his belt, some stage points, and boom, he's going to be rock and rolling in this championship. I mean, right now, maybe he's the guy that's the favorite with Kyle Busch on his heels, So when you look and you say who's retired and who ain't, I think Martin's fate may not be up to him unless he's willing to take a big pay cut and Bass Pro's walking out the door. I don't know anything about that scenario. I hope Bass Pro comes back. I hope Martin comes back. I think we need legacy guys around. We don't need a bunch of new names in every single car every single week.
Agreed. What about did you say Reddick? We talking about Reddick now, I guess.
What's Reddick got going on?
Reddick had himself.
Is he retired?
Yeah, I don't think so. He might have wanted to after yesterday. No, I don't like that deal, and so he stays out, which they were running incredible lap times. I didn't really blame them for staying out because we had just Pitt. We were on the same plan as them. We had Pitt, and he was running probably a second faster than us at one point in that run, and they got that yellow, and he stayed out with Chase and Blaney, which
Logano,
Blaney,
I think no,
I think it was just Chase.
It was Chase, Blaney, him. And
Yeah.
Blaney run 30th all
And
day.
Blaney almost stole. If he didn't get run over by, I guess it was McDowell. I saw he was bitching. I didn't see it. I just saw him complain.
McDowell had a little bit of help, but
So he was going to steal
I
like
would
you
say,
said, he
though,
was last all day long.
a lap before that, I told Drew, I said Blaney's getting ready to get moved here because
Yeah.
he was kind of holding up the
well,
line.
I mean,
he was definitely going to finish
better than he
better.
was.
Yeah, at that point though, if you're running
it
third
couldn't
or
finish
fourth,
any worse.
that's what I'm saying. If you're running third or fourth, I mean, it's probably okay to give up 3 or 4 spots right there before
Yeah.
you get spun because you were going to run 28th.
But yeah, so the Reddick deal, he gets. I guess the 22 got into him, and he might have been getting shoved, or I forget. 12 would get shoved. I forget. But somebody turned the 45 around, and he had a flat. He locked him up, slid the tires, so he cuts across the infield there in 11 and comes to
He
pit road.
cut 98% of the racetrack out.
Yeah, is that all? I mean, I guess what I heard last night was they deemed he saved 80 seconds is why they gave him a penalty.
And they should have.
But I think there was absolutely the right call for a penalty, but it was also at the same time absolutely the right call on their part to do that because that penalty was better than driving. Like their other option was, and I think they presented this to NASCAR. Like, what do you want me to do next time? Sit there and wait for a caution because I wasn't going to drive around the racetrack with a flat tire or probably multiple flat tires and wreck my race car versus just cutting across the infield
And screw the race up.
Yeah, like you could screw the race up. Like we talked about that on here before. Like how many guys have it? I mean, now they wouldn't be intentional. I guess they would be intentionally drawing a yellow, but it wasn't like maliciously. But so they have to penalize. I think everything was right here. I think they did the right thing by coming straight to pit road because they were going to wreck their car driving around the track. NASCAR did the right thing because you have to penalize them because
You got to
they've
realize,
saved a
too,
lot of
now,
time.
we're at the same racetrack where Ross Chastain got away with murder.
Yeah.
And you didn't do anything to him.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy.
And that was gaining spots.
He gained multiple spots shortcutting the racetrack, and they did absolutely nothing.
Nothing.
So I'm sure leading into the race this week, they looked at that and went, "Hey, let's not screw this up again." And they didn't. They did the right thing.
Did you think I'm sure you are watching it. Did we need to throw a yellow for that tire in the middle of pit road? Like, could we?
I
not
mean,
go
what do you
get it?
do, man? Do you who do you appoint to go get the tire? Is it one of the pit crew members? Is it the official? Does the tower watch turn 11 and say go now? The guy go out there and bust his ass. Now we got a human laying on the racetrack. Like, and I know it's pit road and it's protected, but I mean, in my mind, you're winging it at that point. And if you send a guy out there and something happens, man, that'd be bad.
Yeah. No, I was asking
So
a
what
question.
if you maybe this is
I think you
you need a big hook?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you can't. I don't think you can send a guy out there under green flag.
Could you send Carson out there to get it?
I don't think you send any. I don't think you send anybody out there to get it. But why don't under green in those circumstances? If it's a blocked pit road, close pit road for a lap, then go
I don't
get
think
it.
you
But
can
if
do
Tyler
that.
Reddick has that problem, he's not going to care that pit road's closed.
Yeah, and I don't think you can do that because
Drive-through
then you're
penalty.
giving an advantage to the guys that already pit because they're making up time as you're still on the racetrack.
I
Because a
don't-
lot of times you'll pit, or the guy behind you will pit, and they'll tell you to pit the next lap. To
I
cover
don't
that.
have a problem with you stopping the race to go get the tire.
Yeah,
I truly don't.
We should make it. You know what we should do is make it a fan experience. Like sell some tickets to the fans, and they
Jeez,
just
oh,
hang
man.
out on pit road and like.
If a tire's
If
out
a tire's out there, you're the one going to get it.
Did you
funnel a
see?
beer.
Shotgun this beer.
funnel this beer and then go get that tire, you idiot.
Did you see what happened in Xfinity race? We were basically that tire sitting on pit road.
But here's the thing now, like, do you just knock a tire out on? Like, if your teammate needs a little help, you just go out there and bang a
Just
tire.
roll a tire out the
Yeah,
pit
yeah,
road.
whoop.
Uncontrolled tire. Sorry, I'm starting to tail.
You didn't even pit. Sorry.
got away from me.
So
Oh,
we got. I don't know if it.
That's
I don't know
funny.
what they showed on TV.
Could you imagine that we're right there racing all of a sudden and nobody's pitted and all of a sudden a tire just goes creeping across pit road because
Yeah.
somebody wants a caution?
That'd be really bad.
Do it somewhere that doesn't have a pit road on the outside.
a wall
like
on the
grass
outside?
or something.
Just roll it out into the grass. Charlotte.
Good
Yeah.
lord.
I'm kidding.
We got pushed to pit road on Saturday. I don't know if you saw this or not. We get pushed to pit
And
road.
they open pit road right
Well,
behind
and
you.
then the push truck lets us go at the entry of pit road, and we have no power in the car. Like can't move.
Damn it.
And we get pushed to pit road. Well, it's not enough to get us all the way to our stall. So, and then they open pit road, and here come all the cars right behind us, and we're sitting out there against the wall on pit road, dead in the water. And then I'm talking to the official. I'm like, "Hey, we still need push into our stall," and he's like, "Well, don't move." I'm like, "You ain't got to worry about
Pretty
that."
sure I'm not moving.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about that. But like, that's kind of sketchy there because if somebody doesn't know, somebody doesn't know you're sitting there, and the car swerves in front of you, you could get hit pretty easily.
My favorite official story, because that's obviously an airhead moment. If you can't move and you're asking for a push and they tell you don't move, that's pretty airheaded. My favorite official moment was when a new official showed up and goes, "How did they get in the car? There's no door.
There's
There's no door handle."
Hey,
Carson's looking at me like I'm crazy.
My favorite.
Who was it? Sacco? I'm just kidding.
Do these guys race at night with these fake lights?
My favorite was last year. We had an official that we have a radio from NASCAR, and they depending on the racetrack and size of the racetrack, they are on a different channel at sometimes on the frequencies. So every week we ask what channel is NASCAR on? What channel is NASCAR on? So we there was a new official, like rookie, had never seen him before. Somebody said, "Hey, what channel is NASCAR on?" And he said FS1.
That's genius. I mean,
He wasn't wrong.
He wasn't
wrong, but
listen, we've got so many friends that are officials. They're going to hear these stories and they're going to start texting all of us, telling us even more stories.
they're going to start texting each other, going, which one of you idiots is this?"
Oh, guess what?
What?
I got a good story for you.
What is it?
What is it?
Ernie's.
Did you
Did you go to Ernie's?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I can't believe you
Did you
went
get
to
your phone
Ernie's.
out?
No, but somebody did.
Who was it?
Oh.
Wasn't Hearn, was it?
No,
He knows better.
it wasn't a spotter. It might have been a truck driver.
Truck driver that we know?
Yeah.
So there's a bar
Woody?
out there called Ernie's, and it's literally a garage.
Ernie's Tin Bar.
You ever been, Andrew? You been to Sonoma before?
I've been once.
Yeah. So Ernie's is beer only, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beer only, and you are not allowed to get your cell phone out. If you do, you got to buy the whole bar around.
Everybody in the bar.
Oh, wow.
I'd
it's-
never been there
I
in all
wanna
these
go
years, so
there.
I finally stopped.
That's because you live in Nintendo world when you're out there. Welcome to the real world. Ain't it fun?
Yeah, it's neat. It's a neat bar.
So who was the truck driver?
I don't know if I want to say names, but
What company
Come
did you
on.
work for?
Call him out.
Let's play Guess Who.
I don't know. It's weird because I guess if you're sitting outside, you can be on your phone, just can't be talking
Yeah.
on it. But if you're in, he answered his phone. He was responding to a text or something. He really isn't even on his phone talking to somebody. But He did crawl across the floor begging for them not to buy
the entire bar.
Yeah.
And it's pretty busy in there.
It was pretty. It wasn't that busy then. It was like super early.
What's their reasoning for not being able to have like
Be
your
in the
phone
moment.
just to
Conversation.
Well, they don't want people in there talking on their phone ruining the bar.
fun? Okay.
Yeah, atmosphere.
Like back in the day, Carson, we would go out. You didn't really do anything on your phone, did you, Brett?
We didn't have phones when I started.
Thank God.
Yeah, exactly.
I wish there weren't phones now when I go out.
That's why you go to
kidding.
Ernie's.
We need an Ernie's in Mooresville.
Who the hell were we there with that day? It was
Reed. Was
Reed,
Guy.
yes.
Yeah. He's Guy's guy.
Guy's guy.
Guy Fieri's manager.
That was a
he's
long
Guy's guy.
That was a long day.
I was a long day.
I didn't think you left me there.
I dipped. But the one time I didn't dip, we ended up back at the pool. That was a long day.
That was a long day.
Yeah, good thing it's easy to spot at Sonoma.
Hey, Barkdahl did bail out another spotter again. Not literally bail out, but had to go in and pay his for his dinner because he was picking him up from dinner.
Yeah.
And he couldn't pay for his meal, so he had to come out and ask Barkdahl to go in and pay for it. So Barkdahl did.
I'm very confused.
Why couldn't he pay for his meal?
Barkdahl was picking up another spotter to go do something later, and the guy couldn't pay for his dinner, so Barkdahl had to go in and pay for it.
Why not? Why can't he pay for it?
I don't know.
It's incoherent.
No, not that bad.
All right, Carson, let's kick this thing off.
All right, let's do a little spot on.
Are you
spot
ready
off?
for this?
Yeah,
I don't
you
know.
ready?
I don't know. This is nerve wracking, honestly.
Don't-
Yeah, you have such a great voice for this.
Yes.
Thanks.
She
It's like the nicest thing you've ever said to
she
me.
has no idea
That's
how
not
mad
true.
she's gonna get at you over the rest of the show.
Probably. I'm scared. Okay. NASCAR implements safety changes after Kyle Larson and Ryan Preece's crash at Talladega. The changes will be put into effect for the July 9th race weekend at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Brett.
I am spot on for this from a safety perspective. We've heard a lot of talk about these cars being too rigid and not giving enough, and the driver taking the brunt of the impact. When I originally was told about this thing, coming out, I was looking at these bars and I was like, man, that looks like a lot of work. And then I got to talking and even talking to people like Freddie and talking to some of my buddies in these race shops. And there were some teams that said they could do all of theirs in a matter of what, Freddie, a day?
Not all of them. They could do. Some teams are saying about an hour to do a frame rail.
Okay, the first team I talked to was 8 hours to do a frame rail. So your team that you're referencing, not your team in general, but just the team you're talking about, they were saying they could do one in 45, 50 minutes.
Yeah.
And the team I was talking to was saying they could do it in 7, 8 hours. So I was looking at, man, workload. How do you, if you're a smaller team, how do you overcome this? And some of these teams are even reaching back out to the frame rail manufacturer saying, will you do this update for us? And they said, no, we don't have the manpower to do that either. So, again, I'm all for making these cars safer. Obviously, we've got Noah out with a concussion this week. I hope he's doing better and feeling better. I thought he was concussed when he came out to do his interview post-race. I was really surprised, and I've told Freddie this in a text message. I was very surprised to see him standing there in front of a camera doing an interview. And his interview, he seemed off. And obviously, it took a couple days for the symptoms to come forward because I'm of the belief they would not have sent him out there in front of a camera had he failed concussion protocol. Here's the good thing for Noah, though, having spoken to some other people in the industry. Toyota does an amazing job of baselining their drivers. So they have a lot, and Carson's nodding their head, they have a lot of data that they can go back and look at to see how bad was this concussion. Some of the other manufacturers were not as far ahead on the concussion protocol, obviously somewhat new to the NASCAR world. We've always had concussions. I mean, I am convinced if Elliott Sadler were sitting here right now, I am convinced he raced with a concussion at Michigan the day after he flipped what felt like 8 or 10 times down the front stretch. And we're always going to have concussions because your brain is going to bounce off your skull when you're hitting the wall at 200 miles an hour. You can't put enough stuff in these cars to make that not happen. What we do have now, though, is ability and the awareness to say, Noah, you don't have to go out and race, man. You can still make a playoff if you pull off a plate win at Daytona in the summer or wherever that win might come. So I'm thumbs up for really this whole scenario. I just want to get it to where we know this car, and this is going to sound crass, but I want to know that this car is as safe as the last car, and we're not there yet.
No, and we've said that from day one on here. Like, why would you ever take any step back in the safety department. I get, whatever you want to do as far as anything else in the sport's concerned, the one thing you can't do is be 0.00001% less safe than you were before. And I feel like, unfortunately, we are right now, and that's not a dramatization of, oh my God, these cars are going to hurt somebody. We've seen people get hurt. Kurt Busch retired now, or I don't know where he's at, but he's not racing.
He ain't racing.
Credit to Noah, though. Noah, this sounded to me like it was Noah stepping up and saying doesn't feel right to go. So, that's hard for these guys to do. That's hard to step out of a car. Talking about the car, though, I don't know if everybody saw, but what they did was they've put slots in the frame rails in the front clip. They've reinforced with steel plates the door bars on the right side that where the protrusion was on the on Larson's car, and then they've changed the front bumper struts a lot. And if you watch the video they put out, like, you can clearly see a lot more energy absorbed by the car, which is in turn hopefully less of energy absorbed by the driver. There's more give there. There's more, it crushes an awful lot. So my only concern would be, hopefully we're not compromising the front clip to where, we could still be pretty aggressive, especially like plate races, pushing each other. I don't think it's going to be that weak.
Here's my concern. You bring up concerns. I love to hear what TJ thinks on this. My concern is we're buying everything now from third-party vendors or NASCAR, and they've got their thumb on everything. They've got their hand in the pot. We're now buying this from a manufacturer, and they're telling us, the teams, to modify it.
Yeah, and this is the first time. Like, I was talking to one of the prominent team guy, and aside from they put gussets in the door bars directly after Talladega, that was a quick, easy fix. Other than that, this is the first thing that the teams themselves have been allowed to alter on these new cars, and modify it now, and it's a pretty big step because you're talking about cutting the frame rails and cutting the front bumper supports.
What could go wrong?
So hopefully, and listen, there's no secret. We talked about it on here. A lot of these teams let a lot of their fabricators go 2 years ago when this car came about. So now where are them guys at? These are the guys and I was talking about, some of the teams. The reason why some of the teams can do stuff in an hour versus 8 hours is, some teams have equipment that they can laser cut or they have CNC, whatever, to cut this stuff a lot faster versus a team that's basically doing it manually. So it's going to be interesting to see how it goes. But TJ, I mean, I'll obviously all in the name of safety.
Yeah, I actually liked this. I liked to see what they were doing to make it give a little bit more. Definitely have to be careful because these teams are smart. And there's I don't know if this area actually gives any if there's any advantage or anything they can do in that area.
They're going to look for an advantage.
Oh, always. They're probably already looked at it. So, yeah, it's always good when they implement safety changes. To me, it's always, a step in the right direction to make things safer. And usually they do. They've been very proactive with things most of the time and try to keep these guys safe. And I was glad to see those.
I got to talk about teams and using the advantage. Did you see they brought out the NACA duck from the 14 car that was just a quality control issue? They must have left it in the dryer too long and it shrunk a couple inches.
I was looking at that and I was thinking that's when your project in school was so bad that the teacher uses it as an example of what not to do. I thought it was funny.
I laughed at because they came out, so it was Zippy or whoever threw it out, said, it's just a quality control problem. Then they got that go no go gauge where it's now this is just not even close.
Yeah, that Brad Moran guy, he did a pretty good job of explaining it to everybody and showing it to the media, which listen, we talk about it on here all the time, transparency. And if you're a fan, you feel like you got told the truth. We have all these NASCAR conspiracies out there because they don't do things like this. So when they come forward and do something like this, if you're a team, if you're Chase Elliott, you just got suspended, and you're Stuart Haas and you just got fined, and fans are going, well, this is ridiculous. Well, they just told you why. They showed you why. So you really can't argue against them. I love it. I'm pro NASCAR doing this.
I think it's great. And then, listen, I'll ask you guys both this question. in the field on Sunday yesterday, how many 100% legal cars are out there?
None.
Just ours.
Actually, I'm going to tell you that back. Harrison Burton and Ryan Blaney appeared to be 100% legal. Austin Cindric, they appear to be 100% legal.
What happened there?
Bless their hearts, by the way.
I looked up. I didn't realize. So I was, we weren't lighting the world on fire by no means. We were probably like
I did the
18th,
same thing.
19th place car.
Whoa.
And I looked up and I was like, the 78 just passed the 2, the 21, and the 12. And I was like, oh, wow. And then Bubba, we had faded pretty hard in the beginning. We were back there like 27th, 28th, and we had caught Blaney at one point, and he just moved over and let us go.
Yeah.
And Bubba's like, ha! Y'all thought I was mad.
like I don't believe in being a quitter, but at that point, just quit.
Hang it up.
Just hang it up. Clear behind the 78.
Hey, listen, I use him as an example because you don't normally see him. Balicki did a really good job yesterday in that car. He was he didn't only pass them guys. He was following us up
the torpedo
just outside the. Yeah, I seen that. He was. Who was he complaining about? I didn't even see.
77.
77.
Yeah.
Tidal and wrecked.
Yeah. But he was. I thought he was having a phenomenal race for the 78 car. And unfortunately, he gets turned around the end, and I'm sure he doesn't.
I think he slowed down too much. I saw the replay. Andrew sent a replay out. I'm convinced that he slowed down too much.
But
that's usually what happens. You slow down more than the guy in front of you.
Weren't they too wide already though? Like the 77 was inside somebody else. Anytime the third guy to the party tries to go down the inside when the guy's already on the bottom, there's going to be a wreck.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah, they
gotta be careful when you're inside on the bottom.
Mm-hmm. Narrows up real fast.
Real fast.
You hope.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you get
and you usually get inside somebody else, and then it gets bad.
Not good. Sorry about that, Josh. Next time, don't slow down so much. You won't get it in the rear.
Bulldoze the guy you're trying to pass.
Yeah. All right.
Okay. All right. Chase Elliott returns to the track this weekend after a one-race suspension and says, "Not everybody is perfect, and mistakes are going to be made. You're going to have tough times, and I'm not proud of it by any means." TJ.
I'm guessing spot on for, was it a week later?
2
Finally
weeks.
hearing about it. Yeah, so more than that, I guess. So, it's good to see. It's good to see Chase open up about it a little bit and talk about it. I honestly didn't think he was going to say anything. So, good to see something come from it, and looks like he's moved on.
I didn't see his comments. This is literally the only quote I've seen. I did see a tweet about it that he was very candid for 11 minutes and answered all the questions. To TJ's point, I do appreciate that. What I want to see now happen is these guys tell the truth in interviews and NASCAR not punish them. I don't think Denny Hamlin should be fined. I don't think, Chase Elliott, he got out of the car and acted like, well, once you hit the wall, you can't drive these things. Man, when you right rear somebody, you should literally be embarrassed. I don't care. After the fact, you should be like, man, I screwed up. I got mad, and I did something really stupid. And if NASCAR comes down on me, I get it.
Yeah.
I know why, because I am tired of being lied to, and it's not Ryan Priest's fault, but he lied to us.
It's
point
condescending,
blank. He lied to us. He lied to the fans. He lied to everybody, because in the past, if you do that, you get in trouble. So don't tell the truth, you get in trouble. Let these motherfuckers tell us the truth.
Yeah. I mean, it's insulting to your intelligence as a fan. Like, some people haven't been watching racing forever, but anybody that's watched Cup racing for the last 5 years or so knows that Ryan Preece was intentionally retaliating against Kyle Larson, and then he has to get out of the car and just act like an idiot. Like, what do you mean? I
think both of them did, because the other one retaliated the same way and then said his steering was broke, but ran 2 laps and drove it to the holler.
Yeah, it's but that's the point. Like, just let them let them be themselves, and the people will appreciate it, and you'll get to see a lot more personality out of these guys. Right now, there's guys we've talked to, like, hey, you want to come on the podcast? Nope. There's no telling what I could say on there and get me in trouble. Like, so you can't, that's a major issue when you're kind of putting a muzzle on. We're already people just begging for people to show more personality and see more of these drivers, and now they can't be themselves because of living in fear of what NASCAR might do to them if they're honest and tell the truth about what happened on the racetrack.
This is a good time to say this.
Okay.
There's a lot of times where, to Freddie's point, listen, I would love to have Chase Elliott on this podcast. I think there's no chance he'd come on
0% chance.
Carson's over there going, no.
No way. No
we
way.
talk shit about people who give us shit to talk about. Okay, that's a fact. This is a good point. Carson Hocevar. How much shit have we talked about Carson Hocevar?
I don't know about you, maybe.
Yeah, most of it's you.
Brett and the mouse in
I
his
have
pocket.
probably talked to
You
you.
actually-
But to that point, to what I told Noah back in the day, if you don't do dumb shit, we don't have anything to talk about.
But guess who came on the podcast? Noah.
Yeah.
Guess who else is coming on the podcast?
Yeah, I know.
Carson Hocevar is coming on this podcast during the month of July.
Are you actually going to be here?
100%.
What about that heckler in Charlotte? Is he coming too?
I'm 100%.
The guy you were going to fight in the crowd.
I'm excited that Carson's
Hey,
going to
we
be
talked
here.
about this last week with that interview he did. Like that was the first step I've seen to Carson Hocevar maturing in a big way from everything in the past.
Pretty sure he went and tried to run the dream this last
He
weekend,
did. He was
too.
there. I don't know how he did. Carson
That's,
had
I have no clue.
Carson had Carson do. Yeah,
I
I have
actually
no clue.
think he was really close to making the race. The whole
that's impressive.
Yeah, he actually had. From what I saw, I don't know, but it seems like he was just outside of the transfer spot.
My point is, we welcome all walks of life in here on this show. Mike Joy, we didn't have a problem with him. We had some
Disagreements
about what he was saying versus what was happening, and who we thought he was talking about Noah, and he said he wasn't talking about Noah. We bring him on here. Obviously, he was on a Zoom, but like we want to have guests. We want guys to feel welcome on here and be able to come in here and say what they think. And listen, sometimes we say stuff that it's rare, but we say stuff that isn't right.
Mainly you.
Most of the time, it's all right.
Just
But anyway.
depends who you ask.
Anyway, Carson.
Okay, Cup Series drivers dominated most of the debut NASCAR Xfinity Series race at Sonoma. Freddie, spot on, spot off.
spot off. I felt like this was back in the early, late 2000s, early 2010s, where it's, the Cup guys were winning all the races, and I was actually having our buddy Dave DeRosa. I don't know if you remember him. He was the guy we met at Big Al's. He's a buddy of Noah's. He was asking me about, he had a group of friends with him, and he's talking about Cup guys not running the Xfinity races anymore. And I said, well, like, you're going to see it today. Like, Kyle Larson's going to, unless something happens, which something happened, I said, he's going to dominate this race. And then there's going to be other guys up there, whoever, Ty Gibbs, Eric obviously wins the race. Them guys, and I don't know what it looked like on TV, but I'm sure they had to highlight those guys because they were the only ones up front.
It was a four-man show.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate. And I don't know that I feel like going to a place where Cup has been running and Xfinity hasn't, you probably should not let the Cup guys run. I have more of a problem with that than we go somewhere where Xfinity's been running, a Cup hasn't, and you don't let the Cup guys run.
They had a huge advantage there.
Yeah, I mean,
from the get-go.
Yeah, like you could see, it was they were Larson.
Like your guy, first laps on the track, probably. He might have run the truck race there last year.
He ran truck race there last year.
Yeah,
but
my guy had never been on the place. So.
Yeah.
Well, what Freddie's alluding to is you have guys that have run hundreds, if not thousands, of laps around Sonoma.
It's thousands.
Versus guys that have run zero.
Never even
So
seen
who
the
do you
place.
think's going to do better?
Yeah. So I don't know. Going forward, if that's an option to let's not let these Cup guys come in and dominate, but it is what it is. They're within the parameters of the rules that they have now. But yeah, they for sure dominated right up until Larson. He kind of.
How about the lead he had in the beginning?
He was. I looked at the result. I wasn't there for practice on Friday, but when we landed, I looked, and his average lap time was almost 7/10 faster than the field average. He was 1.2 seconds faster.
Yeah, he was gone
on the fast lap, but his average was over a half a second faster than everybody. And I thought he was out there just kind of rolling around. AJ could kind of maintain pace with him, but I think Kyle was probably just saving his stuff at that point.
Yeah,
but it was.
I think AJ was definitely at his limit of he couldn't go any faster. And in the race, I mean, he just it was like 3/4 of a track in front of everybody.
Yeah. It was, but that's why they run the races out, because you saw what happened. Suarez and the 29, which I think was Alex LeBay, they stay out. LeBay, I think, was out of tires, or they were trying to get a set mounted up, and they didn't get it in time, so they were out of tires. And then Suarez stayed out, just hoping probably for a later caution to put tires on and have an advantage. But I'm assuming that's how Larson lost control of the race, because he didn't get through that restart as well as them other guys.
Yeah,
and Eric
he
gets
got
out front.
behind Eric, and he rode behind him for 5, 6, 7, 8 laps or whatever. Then, he had that incident in 11, which I mean, if there was 4 or 5 more laps, I don't know, it might have been. It's tough, man. Eric was doing a really good job leading.
He was. Once he got the lead, I mean, Larson was running AJ down, and then once he hit those tires, it was kind of over. But
that gave me hope for the race on Sunday playing out similar with somebody, with a tire strategy. You got to catch the caution.
Yeah, it was cool to see Eric win because what do you have? Probably 3 or 4 Xfinity wins going into that race. Got a couple Cup wins. Won at Talladega, rain shortened. Won at New Hampshire.
Daytona
rain shortened. Yeah, I knew we were somewhere to play race. So cool for him to win with his kids there, man. I always like to see that. I will say this though, Jamie Little yesterday was kind of hyping up Ty Gibbs for the Sonoma race. Like, he may get his first win today. And I'm like, no, he ain't going to get his first win today. A Cup track he's never been on in a Cup car. And he's racing animals today. He wasn't racing animals yesterday. So,
yeah,
it's tough to go to some of these places. And, I mean, I'll rattle them off. You ain't going to go to Martinsville in your first ever Cup start and win.
You're not going to Martinsville probably in any of your first starts and winning. That place is tough.
It's tough. Sonoma, you ain't gonna go there in your first ever start in the series, not at the Cup level and win. It ain't gonna. You ain't gonna do it at Watkins Glen. Like, there's just certain tracks that are too hard that you have to have experience on to compete with these guys. And to your point, man, I'm now upset. I was upset with the lack of coverage throughout the field on Saturday because I wanted to know how Chandler Smith was doing. I wanted to know how Josh Berry was doing, and they weren't getting any coverage.
Well, we were sitting on pit road.
I saw that. But to now hear you guys say why is frustrating, because there's no wonder those 4 guys kicked the shit out of the rest of them.
Yeah.
I will say this, though. Daniel Suarez yesterday, he made a screw-up, big screw-up.
Oof.
He was in second gear. And they said on the broadcast that he digressed to the day before and thought he was upshifting by going up from second to third gear, when in reality, with this new shifter in the Cup car, he went from second gear to first gear.
Yeah,
so when you guys saw him have a problem, that's what it was. The day before, he was shifting up from second to third. And the very next day, if you shift up, you downshift.
Yeah.
So mental screw up.
I saw it. Like, there was the first lap, and it was off of 7, I think is what it was, because we were going by him through the S's. Like, he lost all of his track position and never got it back, really. He was back there with us the rest of the day. So yeah, that one issue can ruin your day. And
he got more track time, obviously, by running the race on Saturday, but you don't have that mental screw up if you don't run on Saturday.
No. And I mean, we saw it. Who was it last year? Denny. I think Denny was the one that blew his stuff up leaving pit road. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I wasn't related to run the Xfinity race, but he was leaving pit road and did the same thing, second to first or third to first or something. I don't remember.
I will say it's kind of funny. What was Eric's banner? Like, what team was he racing under this week?
That was Ryan Sieg Racing.
Yeah. I was told that there was a picture out there with the number 98 chassis. Literally on the car.
Yeah, of course.
Which is cool, man. I don't care either way.
No.
But.
And listen, that might be. I don't know what chassis numbers there are. I'm sure Sieg is buying cars from Stuart Haas. So that, I mean, but I'm going to assume, like we saw last year with the 07.
I'm pretty sure that was a Stuart Haas car. You want to bet?
It's like that car that Priest won in on Friday in the Yorker race. Same thing.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's good to see him win.
Okay. 2 cautions and a caution-free stage break open the door for strategy to play out in the Cup Series race. TJ.
Yeah, I'm all for I'm all for it. I just wish the cars were harder to drive and there was more natural cautions when guys made mistakes, because it's too easy to recover, like we've talked about maybe once or twice before on the show. It's too easy to recover, too easy to make a mistake, and then, a few years ago that mistake would have cost you 10 spots. Now it costs you maybe 10 feet. So I just think these are supposed to be not that these guys are all phenomenal drivers, but these are supposed to be the hardest cars to drive.
Joe Logano said there's no penalty for overdriving the corner anymore. That should be that shouldn't be a warning shot to NASCAR. That should be a missile going at NASCAR R&D Center this morning, because they have, as a driver, Carson, you can't be held to a standard where you make a mistake and there's no penalty. You agree with that?
I agree.
Yeah. I mean, so to lay it out, there was basically 3 options yesterday to run the race. We used to see, and Sonoma's a lot different because the tire fall off at Sonoma is a lot more than.
I think we tried. We were the first one to try something.
Yeah,
different.
you were the. So you could run a 2-stop strategy, which meant you were pitting every 36 laps, and that just wasn't going to work because your fall off was way too much. You weren't going to be able to run a full fuel run. The seemed like what people were going to split on was a 3-stop or a 4-stop, which a 3-stop you'd pit every 28-ish laps. A 3-stop you were going to pit every 22 laps or so. And I think that's what TJ, you actually were way early the first time.
Yeah, we came early the first time.
17 or something like that.
Just see what would happen.
Yeah. And I think that if it plays out, and that's what I like about this nose. And I was kind of like, we get to the beginning of that race and we're getting strung out and we passed the first stage and there's no caution. And I'm like, man, maybe I should rethink this whole no stage caution thing because this is boring as shit. But then, like once it's you see it start to play out, and now you see different strategies because guys are you see a little different strategies with the stages because guys were chasing points versus pitting for track position.
Yeah,
but you kind of never just are you willing to risk the whole field to get a couple points? But now you see like naturally playing out. Guys would come at 22, then guys ran long. We were running long till 28. And the 3-stop was, I think, going to work out. What flipped the 3-stop though was that stage, that caution for, I think there was that the tire. I think.
The tire.
Yeah. That was the 4-stop guys who pit earlier. They came, and then the caution fell between the 4 and the 3 strategy.
Yeah.
So now all
just
the 3
guys like
stoppers,
Logano.
Yeah. The 8 Logano. There's like 7 or 8 guys. I think you guys stayed out, but like. You probably had a little bit older tires, so
we did.
We
were just trying to get stage points.
Yeah, they fell a little bit harder than some, but then it was just that when you have a caution like that, that's the risk you're taking. Like I think the 3-stop strategy was faster, like just overall was going to work out, and it's the strategy Truex is on, and he made it work, obviously. But you run that risk of if that caution comes out after them guys pit, now you're going to cycle behind them and have to go through traffic, which you saw some of them guys come. Truex came through traffic and got back to the front. Busher got back up there. McDowell was I thought the best forward all day long yesterday.
Hands down.
Is ironic.
I actually think
he gets the least help.
The end of the race, I think Chris was faster than him. He ran.
Oh
him
yeah,
down.
he ran him down. But
if they could have had a restart with the 19 and 17, they might have had a pretty good race at the end.
Throughout the race, the 34 I thought was the best forward on the racetrack.
Mm-hmm.
But
he was good enough to contend to win.
Yeah, but like those 3 drove back to the front. But then you seen a guy like Denny who was up there with Martin. He never, he kind of lost some spots on. He had he came out of the pits probably 14th ish, and never really got back up in there much. And before he wrecked, and then but then there are some guys also the 8 and the 22 stay out. They maintain a lot better than some of the other guys. So it was good to see a mixed strategy and guys having to do different things where you can't just plan your entire race around. Okay, we know the caution's coming out here. We know the caution's coming out here. We're going to do one of 2 different things and make it work. So
it is so hard. It's almost impossible. It's a unicorn, but you're not going to win a cup race with a pit crew that's not exceptional. There's too many pit stops, and once you get behind, you can't make it up. And once McDowell come off, he was like running 3rd or 4th. Once he come off 9th or 10th or whatever it was, he's done.
Yeah.
Martin Truex, if they'd have had a bad stop, which they didn't, he's probably done.
I think it was you that I texted yesterday, and I said if we never had to come down pit road today, I think Michael McDowell could very easily win this race. And it's not really. I don't want to sound like it's a knock on the 34 crew, but they're not going to consistently beat the 19 off pit road. I don't think
they're not. No chance.
So
they might beat them 1 out of 10 times.
Yeah, so
might.
You have one little slip and you lose 4 or 5 spots on pit road.
And that slip is to lose that many spots is nothing. So small.
Yeah,
too.
Especially now because the pit stop I seen yesterday, they said. I think it was Kyle's team busted off like a Kyle Busch. They was like a 9-1 or something like that.
Jeez.
So like, I mean, if you're a 9-6, like you just lost car links.
You couldn't even run around the car in 9 seconds, much less change the tires, jack it up, put gas in it. And Jesus, that's crazy.
Okay, let's do a little DBCA main. Did you guys see Carson Maceto's accident at Knoxville?
Yeah, I did. I was actually watching it live on Dirt Vision, and it was spectacular. I was really worried. Big props to the safety crews that I'm telling you, they were there. And I don't even think he was stopped for about 4 seconds. And there was already almost a car pulling up there, stopping at his car.
Knoxville has the best safety crew, hands down.
Unreal.
To break it down for Brett, probably didn't get to see this. He was kind of tied up all weekend. So Carson's in the middle of 3 and 4. Just hooks a dead right, pounds the fence, flips up, lands. Looked like the first impact was tail tank, busts the fuel tank.
Yeah.
As soon as he comes to a rest, thing erupts in flames.
Oh.
And he's out. So now
he's knocked out.
Yeah.
Yep.
It seemed like
for like 30 seconds he was sitting in there just burning.
Burning?
Yeah.
And he's okay?
Brett.
I think he only ended up with burns like on his neck and chest, and he was able to walk out of the hospital and everything.
Yeah, to TJ's
Holy
point, you'll see in
cow.
the video, Brett, like
I see it.
the crew's there before the cars stop moving. Guys like Gio
I think
Scelzi,
Rico.
Gio Scelzi, Baston, Brad, Sweet, they jumped out of their cars, dove in there. I mean, I seen one time Gio's on fire. They're like he's in there trying to, and when he walks away from the car, he's literally on fire. They're spraying him.
It's
with
amazing
the
these guys can get out of their cars that fast and get somewhere.
Well, I mean, It was. Thank God Carson's okay.
Yeah. Released from the hospital later that night.
Yeah.
Yep.
The bravery shown to buckle in these cars is insane. The bravery shown to dive into a fire to save your buddy. That's even more insane.
It was scary to watch, but it's luckily
it's rare we have somebody with Carson's talent, and I don't want to make her head blow up right now. But, well, like we don't have a lot of dirt racers that come in here that like. What's it like flipping in those things?
It hurts. It hurts. Oh, when you were talking about concussions earlier, it hurts. I mean, I've never raced a sprint car, like a wing sprint car. I probably would never. They look like they would scare the hell out of me. But man, flipping a midget, it hurts.
I think I'd rather flip something with a wing than a midget.
Yeah, because back when I was racing outlaw carts, it's kind of like a shrunk down version of a 410, and so the wing does help a lot with cushioning the blow a little bit. But flipping a non-wing sprint car or a midget, I mean, you're beat up. I've got pictures of the insane baseball sized bruises I would have. I mean, that stuff hurts.
I can't remember ever. Like I feel like when you wrecked,
I crashed some. I crashed some.
Because
it was never
I'm
small.
not saying you wrecked a lot.
No, but it was never small. When I wrecked, it was never small.
Every time it was like a holy shit
moment. It was like I can't believe she's alive.
Yes.
Well,
it was never
what's
small.
it like climbing into those cars knowing you might flip like that? Like, is it in the back of your mind or you just try to block it?
I mean, I won't lie. Towards the end of when I was racing, I had, like Freddie's talking about, like a couple of those big crashes. I started to get, like, I will say I started to get scared. I was like, man, is this worth it? Is it worth, bonking my head all the time? And, but I mean, usually other than that, you're just so in the heat of it all. And it's so much fun that once you're on the racetrack, you're not thinking about any of that.
So you grew up watching your uncles race.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what that's like because my uncles didn't race cars at the top level like Carrie and Dale have. What's it like watching your brother race?
Oh my gosh. I feel like he's preparing me for like if I ever have a kid that races. Like I get so nervous. Me and my mom, it's probably quite comical to everybody that's in the grandstands at Millbridge because my mom and I are losing it sometimes. Because I mean, we're out there one week and he's throwing sliders on Kyle Busch and Cannon McIntosh, and I mean, and not giving them an inch to spare. And it's so fun to watch him, and I'm so proud of him. But man, I get nervous. I'm probably not near as nervous as my mom, but it's weird. I just look at him. I'm like, I can't believe my little tiny brother's in there driving that race car.
And he does a phenomenal job.
He's a boss.
Yeah.
The best thing about Wyatt is he knows that he's good, but he's not an ass about it. Like he's just having fun.
He's humble.
And he thinks it's like he's like just wants to go hang out with his buddies and run around on the playground when he's not racing at the racetrack. And he knows he's fast. He knows that, he's got the confidence that, he can go out there and win. But he's so nonchalant about it.
Yeah. He's driving for Chad pretty much all the time now, right? Like Chad's car. So thank God Casey's not here to blow up Chad Bodie or CBI, whatever it is.
Wait, is this where I do a CBI plug?
This is where you do the CBI commercial. Yeah, you got to get the. Have we reached our Millbridge minimum for the day?
Oh yeah, very much so.
Awesome.
Okay, I think it's time for a little reaction theater.
Hello, and welcome to tonight's sleep meditation, brought to you by the Toyota Safe Mart 350, where there's no action, nothing to excite you or raise your heart rate. We're just going to put you right to sleep in no time. Thank you for joining me. Now let's begin.
That's pretty good.
That's a full production.
I thought he was going to go. I thought when he said let's get begin, I thought that's
when you go to sleep.
Yeah.
That was interesting.
He had your 900
yeah,
voice.
He was trying.
Hello.
Yeah, this is meditation.
That'd be a good intro for a sleep study right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These next few are about people's reactions to the new phone number.
Okay.
Freddie Kraft, you are a son of a bitch. I was fully expecting this to be Brett Griffin's phone number. And I get Andrew. Are you kidding me?
I did not hear Brett's voicemail after calling this, so I am very disappointed.
We might have said we were going to give him your phone number last week.
Yeah, I might want to go ahead
or
and tell him
because
that.
we could forward.
I heard you guys say that. Graham did a great job on the show, by the way. I enjoyed him. I thought you guys were pretty wimpy on the whole Jeb and Chandler thing. Y'all didn't really blast anybody. Y'all were very politically correct. And then the whole Austin Cindric thing. I mean, y'all's take was terrible. Y'all were insinuating that he should be.
Listen, he saw that hooked him. I don't care what happened. He didn't. I don't think it was egregious enough to get a penalty, maybe. But
I don't know what you're looking
at.
Him. I don't know what you're looking at. The only thing that saves him is the 3-car moving up a tiny bit to get to the corner.
Yeah.
But if you compare that lap
to the previous lap
to any other laps, those steering traces don't line up very well at all. I don't know who turns left.
Well, I'm glad y'all are excited about it this week because last week y'all were not.
I tried to prove my case, but they didn't want to hear it. Wasn't any different.
My buddy one time, he gave somebody my phone number, and this has been years ago, but he gave somebody my phone number that I went to high school with, and that person started asking me for stuff. Can I get garage passes to here? Can I get So I tweeted his phone number out. I was like, since you're going to give my phone number to somebody that shouldn't have had it, then I'm going to tweet your phone number. And when I tweeted it, I said something like, this is Clint Boyer's phone number or Dale Jr.'s phone number. And he called me. He's like, what the did you do? And I was like, I tweeted your phone number. He said, why? I don't understand why. I was like, because you gave my phone number out. I figured I'd give your phone number out.
I've seen a bunch of like these guys do that with Craigslist ads. Like they'll list this really nice car for like $1,000.
Yeah.
And then put their buddy's phone number there. So they just get called. Hey, I'm interested in that car. And you're like I've had people change their numbers because of it.
I did do this too to my brother, Tony. This has been about a decade ago. But I was like, you know what? It'd be funny if everybody just text my brother happy birthday. So I tweeted out my brother's phone number. I was like, here's my brother's phone number. Give him a happy birthday text. And it blew his phone up.
I seen some TikTok the other day, and I think it was maybe Theo Vaughn or somebody. He has a fantastic idea, and there's a 100% chance I'm going to do this. He said he just types in like 7 or 8 random phone numbers.
Yeah.
And then posts a picture of like, he go Google images some kid with a trophy and goes, hey, everybody, Russell won today. And then,
I've seen this
He
before.
said it's like the responses are like, it's obviously nobody he knows. It's just random numbers. And he's like, hey, way to go, Russell. And then some people are like, get me off this fucking thread. He said it's just a mixed bag of responses.
That's awesome.
Garage 66, passing all those Euro jobs. Yeah, Freebird, baby.
Freebird.
Play Freebird.
Play Freebird.
When you go to Nashville, which obviously we're going there in 2 weeks, that is $100 song because people are always on Freebird.
Yeah.
They're like, give me $100, I'll play
It's
it.
Freebird and what Devil Went Down to Georgia,
Yeah.
the two $100 songs.
$100 songs. I mean, it's cool they did that in Le Mans. That was cool, right?
Yeah.
I didn't follow it along.
I mean, I don't know.
Sounds like they were pretty good, minus a couple mechanical
they had
issues.
I think they had like a transaxle issue that it took a little while to
And a
fix.
gearbox issue as
Yeah.
well.
What class were they in? Like, who were they racing?
Their own class.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were compared to like, what was it, like GTLM or some shit.
Yeah.
They were
LM,
faster than they thought they were going to be because they were supposed to start scratch, I think, and then that class that they were close to, they were much faster than. So they're like, well, we don't want this some. Did you see the pictures of the car on the track? Like
did.
3 times
It
the
looks
size
like
of
a
the rest of
tank.
the cars. So they were like, we don't want him buzzing through traffic. Like, let him just start in front of us,
Yeah.
and we'll go. Then we'll go.
Right.
How about the straightaway sound? There's like all these whatever GP or whatever they call them, the fast ones.
Yeah, the
prototype or whatever. They go by. Then all of a sudden this thing comes.
Ball.
Oh my gosh! Can you tell which one is? You tell which one the NASCAR was.
The NASCAR.
The NASCAR.
Or whatever.
The
it is.
National Association for Stock Car Auto Racing. That's you can tell which one that was.
Cup car.
Yeah.
People don't understand an acronym it does not identify a vehicle at all. How is that hard to understand?
It's more fun to say NASCARs, though.
It is,
like,
man. Because
I'm going to watch NASCARs race.
Yeah.
God, that's so ignorant.
It's just goofy.
There isn't a more ignorant statement can be made. And I'm not
Brett, you watched the NASCARs all weekend.
I didn't watch. I've not watched NASCAR's race in my life. Not one f***ing time.
Yes, you have.
You've watched a NASCAR race.
I have. I've watched NASCAR vehicles race. Yes. If you qualify the word a little bit better, you can make it make sense. If you say the NASCARs,
That's not it.
that's not it.
NASCAR can be a verb, an adjective, and a noun.
Like the word
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Great.
That's pretty cool. I mean,
Who we got?
I'm going to title this podcast "The NASCARs Were Racing at Sonoma."
That'll be perfect.
NASCARs. Plural.
Brett's NASCAR's weekend.
All right.
You got to read that part. Sorry.
Summer has come to pass, and I ain't seen a single pass. Wake me up when Sonoma ends.
That's creative.
People are excited about this week's race.
Did we get how? I mean, these all voicemails or like majority?
There
split?
are a few still on Anchor because I know the song quality is better on
Yeah,
Anchor. So
I
I'll
was gonna
still
say-
check if you want to send your songs.
Was
send them
Sonoma a
to
good
Anchor.
race? Jeff Gluck's poll right now. There have been 12,000-ish votes, almost 13,000 votes, and it's trending no. It's 56%
I'd say it's probably about 50-50.
no, 44% yes. I didn't think it was a bad race.
You have to enjoy road course racing, like that. It's a different animal. Like for me, I thought that was a great race because you're going to see strategies play out. People want to see restarts. People want to see action, so that they are going to lend themselves more to stage breaks because they want the restarts.
I feel like when Sonoma started getting hyped is when, and I don't know the year. I'm not going to pretend to know the year. I feel like when it started getting hyped is when Tony Stewart and Brian Vickers got into it. And Brian Vickers went into turn 11 and turned Tony Stewart upside down.
Parked him on the tires.
He parked him on the tires. Like, and look, even if you look back, like I remember Jerry Nadeau back in the day when he drove for Dan Marino in that 13 car. You know, he wrecked really big in the S's. Like I feel like that's kind of the time when people were like, man, Sonoma is so awesome. And it was only 2 on the schedule. Now Sonoma's not really special anymore. And that certainly wasn't a special race yesterday by any means. But it's not the track's fault.
No, it's not the track at all. That track's a great track.
Yeah, and you would see more cautions if these guys, if we talked about what Joe Logano said, if there was a penalty for overdriving.
Much better configuration this time than the Carousel.
If you love YouTube, like some of us do, Google those 2 wrecks because they're both amazing things.
I mean, you could also Google the time that Dale Jr. parked Matt Kenseth over there in the S's. He put him up on the tires.
Well, they're supposed to be buddies.
Why was he slipped up, man?
You don't do that to your buddy.
They were just racing. But, I mean, how many wrecks have you seen them tires on the right-hand side in the S's?
Oh, tons.
Exactly.
Yeah, tons.
But now they're like these guys, and we got a lot of young guys in this field too. Like a lot of young up-and-coming guys.
For sure.
And, man, I can't even imagine trying to handle them cars back then. You know what I mean? Like, they were on edge. It's not the track, though.
You can leave an audio message 24/7 at our new number, 704-802-9572, or go to anchor.fm/doorbumperclear and click that message icon. We'll play the best ones each week on the show. All right, we're going to move on to Ask DBC. You can send in your questions each week on Twitter using hashtag AskDBC, and we'll answer the best ones. So from Alex, we have, what if anything from the Garage 56 car might be implemented into the next gen car? They had to have. They had to have learned something from that might apply in Cup.
I mean, I don't think so. I doubt it. I mean, there may be some small, very subtle things, but the car had way more horsepower, a completely different braking package. It was much lighter, 500 pounds lighter here, it says. So, I mean, if you look at them side by side, they really don't even look the same. The bodies are kind of not really similar. Yeah. And they did that. They had to get to a certain threshold of speed themselves to get approved to run the race. Yeah. So, they had to change a lot of stuff to get there. So there may be some very, very small intricacies that they learned to
until we start racing this car.
Yeah. Then we run this one, they'll have a big head start. But I don't think there was a lot to learn from this race.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, from Tyler. Is it a coincidence that Ross has been a non-factor since Darlington after Justin Marks said he was going to talk with him?
Go ahead, B. Jeezy.
I actually had in my notes that, Ross has been Ross Chastain was the biggest topic on Door Bumper Clear every single week, week in and week out, from the time we started Daytona until Justin Marks sat him down. And whatever they said to him slowed him down. They've changed his aggression. They've changed his speed. Like, they're going to have to turn this guy back loose, or he's not going to be competitive.
No, his average finish before Darlington was 11th, 12th, somewhere between there, like 11.6 or something like that. His average finish since Darlington is 21st.
Wow.
And that's a top 10 yesterday too. He wasn't very competitive yesterday, but he played the right cards and got a top 10 out of it.
I don't know if it's just him though. I don't think that helped.
The car is
something's going on with the car. Ever since Dover, Ever since Dover, to me, they haven't had the same speed.
And I don't know that, this is obviously internal stuff over there, which, I'm sure.
The 99 won this race last year.
Yeah. And they weren't, he never got back up there because of his mistake. But,
yeah,
you talk about the stuff leading up to that talk. And I'm not really sure that the talk was warranted, because you look at it and he was making mistakes, but like the deal with Brennan Poole at Dover. Was an accident. It wasn't malicious. He didn't drive in there to run Brennan Poole over. Brennan Poole lifted before he thought he was going. He was on his bumper. He turned him. The next one, we all sat on here after Talladega and agreed that Ross didn't do anything wrong. Noah left the door open. Ross filled it. Then Darlington, he's going for the win. Now he misjudged and made a mistake, but it wasn't like he was just out of control trying to wreck people.
Chase Elliott did the same thing, going for the win. Do they need to talk to?
No, and and I think it was a direct result of Rick Hendrick publicly speaking out, saying, I'm kind of tired of this guy wrecking my race cars, and I kind of giving my guys the green light to, they got to handle it themselves. And I don't know, like to TJ's point, they haven't been fast. There was where Charlotte, they were awful. I don't know.
Yeah,
if
this isn't a problem. I don't think this is just a Ross not going after.
I think it's just a coincidence.
I'm gonna tell you guys something though. Yesterday going into 7, he had a couple opportunities to be aggressive and be Ross. He didn't take them.
Yeah, I just like the reasoning. I know publicly you have to say this because everybody's other. We fall into the trap of the don't give a to, or we kind of we play with that and have a lot of fun with it. I don't think Ross does almost anything maliciously. I think he makes a lot of mistakes at times and does stuff. I don't think he's like going in there going, I'm going to wreck this 15 car at Dover.
Yeah, or Denny at Gateway. He didn't want to take him out.
So it's just,
but let's say this. You're saying his instincts were causing him to make mistakes. You've now reined back his instincts. He's consciously having to, as a race car driver, keep in mind that Mr. Hendrick bashed me. Denny Hamlin had a feud with me. My owner has sat me down and slapped me on the wrist. You've changed the way this guy races.
And that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm getting at. I don't think that conversation was warranted. And if it was warranted, I don't think it needed to be made public. That you had that seemed like just a knee-jerk reaction to Rick Hendrick making his comment.
I think I'm going to call him, if I'm Justin Marks, Ty Norris, whomever had the power to have that conversation, and say, hey, I'm taking it all back. Never mind. Go back to who you were, because I don't like this guy.
In all those situations, though, the car had more speed.
Yeah.
And the car hasn't had the speed that it's had since Darlington.
But really. I don't know if can it be that coincidental, though, that we all of a sudden, like, you just slow down 10 spots average?
Ross has always been faster than Suarez. It ain't like it just all of a sudden. Obviously last year, Sonoma, Suarez had a great race. He won a race. But Ross traditionally is always faster and higher in the rankings than Suarez. Ross ain't fast.
No.
I don't think it's all car.
I think the 99s had more speed earlier this year too. And he had a little bit of speed at Gateway, but never did anything with it.
Got to realize too, man, you feed off of each other, you help each other with setups, what you're feeling in the car. Like if you're not running it as hard as you can run it, it's going to feel different than if you run it as hard as you can run it. I just think you go back and take it back. Hey man, we screwed up. We taking it back.
Get back out there, practice.
People's going to be listening to this, going, "Man, you guys are wrong. They didn't. Whatever they said to Ross,
in
didn't
practice,
screw him up."
So you go out there he was top 5 on the board almost every week. He's not even close to it right now.
If it didn't screw him up, it sure looks like it publicly.
Agreed.
Man, I even talked to another driver about it a couple weeks ago, and they were like, "Yeah, he sure is racing differently." So
I know this used to be Ross bumper clear, and then we had to change it back.
It was. We talked about him more than any other driver on the show, and I enjoyed it. It was fun. Yeah. Go back to doing dumb shit and being aggressive and winning races and having hauling ass.
We talk about not doing dumb shit. So we have to please start doing dumb shit. So we got something to talk about.
If he'd done something dumb yesterday, Sonoma would have been a better race.
Yeah. One guy did.
Who? Yeah.
Freddie's probably an idiot for the week.
Probably.
I was going to say, speaking of dumb shit.
I can't wait to hear.
Who do we have for what an idiot this week?
Well, I would like to give it to one guy, but he's great, so I can't give it to him.
Oh, what a wuss. What a chicken.
Then he was going to win your what an idiot?
I don't know what you're talking about. But so I'm going to give it to somebody else, and I hope this big son of a bitch don't listen to this podcast.
Oh, God.
Shaquille O'Neal.
Oh, he listened.
Shaquille O'Neal was a no-show for the pre-race concert, and then they had to do a post-race because he was late.
Dang. Well, you Shaquille O'Neal, you guess what you do?
Whatever the you want.
Yeah.
Probably got stuck in that traffic outside the track.
It was, I was kind of bummed out because I was hanging around the hauler and Bubba's like, I think Shaq might be coming over here. And I'm like, well, I ain't leaving. Like, I'll be late. Somebody's got to check in spotter stand. And then I obviously had to go up.
Dude, he is gigantic.
But I mean, you think he was mad?
You think he's big?
I wanted to see, Bubba said they wanted to do a picture where it was Reddick standing in front of Bubba and Shaq just steps over Reddick to say hi to Bubba. Because I can't imagine what that picture looked like.
He could.
There's three kinds of people with money. There's fuck off money. There's fuck you money. And then there's fuck everybody money.
Yeah,
Shaq's got the F everybody money.
Yeah. He and he had to be pissed because he probably was planning on coming there, knocking that out pre-race,
right,
and getting the hell out of there.
Yeah.
And he had to sit there the whole race and then do the concert after the race. Because we were coming down the hill and I'm like, driving out after the race is over, and they were announcing, all right, everybody hang out here for the Shaq, what DJ Diesel or whatever he called himself.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I said to Nick, who was riding with me, I said, I thought they were doing that earlier. He said, yeah, he didn't make it earlier, so they're doing it after the
They
race
probably
now.
paid him a pretty coin too.
Oh, I'm
Dude,
sure.
it's all he could do to get in the lounge of a truck.
Oh,
I mean,
sure.
the lounge. Because when he did that deal at Concord.
Yeah, I remember when y'all did something
Oh,
with
my gosh. It was unreal. But,
Who's your one in it?
I mean, I was just going to give it to Denny. He drove into a wall. I mean,
you can. I can't. I mean,
Imagine we withheld your paycheck for calling him an idiot.
like, hey guys,
Oh, my gosh.
I got to call HR. What happened to my check this week? Oh, apparently you called Denny an idiot on your podcast.
I mean, I guess that's a good thing that there wasn't much action. Like, there wasn't many. Like, nobody bondside the corners real bad where they just clean punch people out like they normally would do. So, I mean, it's slim pickings on the What an Idiots this week.
My what an idiot is whoever gave you guys an off weekend. I don't think y'all deserve one this year. I think you should race 38 weeks in a row and not have an off weekend. So whomever decided that we deserve an off weekend in the NASCAR Cup schedule,
I hope
you're
that
wrong.
same person decides you should do a truck the rest of the year.
I'm kind of bummed out because,
you should spot a truck.
We're going.
It would cost $1 million to get me to spot
I'm going
a
to
truck.
St. Martin next week or tomorrow. And
Okay, Noah, you don't know what week it
it
is.
was the off season.
Oh,
Give me
my
to the
God.
off season. I'm counting down the days, and then I'm like, when we get back though, we race until Thanksgiving. So it's like
That's not that long.
I feel like we're
it's only
almost there
20
already.
weeks.
It's only 20-something
Yeah.
weeks in a row.
I feel like we're almost there. Doesn't it?
Yeah, where are we at? 16. So there's 20 left. 20 races left.
Ah, jeez.
I had to ask for the Phoenix schedule the other day because I needed to know something in terms of my travel.
We
Actually,
already ran there.
I got to go to the FFA convention before I go to Phoenix. And I was like, I need to know when I got to be in Phoenix because I have to spot that weekend. And I was like, you know what? Phoenix might be my favorite race of the year this year.
Yeah. Because the last one. Yeah, I mean.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man.
All right. What do we got to do now, Carson? You're running the show today. You're doing a phenomenal job. Your preparation is something like I've never seen.
What's on your phone?
Is it opposite day?
What are you looking at? Are you Googling Shaq?
I was
Well, how
Googling-
big are Shaq's feet?
He played ball at LSU. My buddy's got an LSU shoe signed by Shaq.
God. Okay.
I wish I had something signed by Shaq.
Just go steal the shoe
Yeah,
out of
if
I
Dale's
was a Penny
studio.
Hardaway fan growing up. I'm still a Penny Hardaway fan. I actually have his autograph on a couple things in my
What about Lil
office.
Penny?
Little Penny.
Well, those
I
are
love Lil
funny
Penny.
commercials.
That was my favorite pair of shoes I ever owned. They were blue and white.
Damn, TJ won.
TJ won because Michael McDowell's pit crew sucks.
Well, my pick didn't win. I can tell you that much.
Well, how did-
Custer?
what happened?
I picked Custer because I thought
You thought he was still in the Cup Series?
No, I thought we were going to suspend Cindric,
Oh,
and that made the only chance. I was like, I don't know who I'll put in there.
yeah.
I mean, it wouldn't have made a difference if I picked him or Cindric yesterday. So it's a good thing I didn't burn a pick.
I mean, Busher's become a road course guy.
He's always been a pretty good road
He
course
is.
racer.
He was, I mean, all road courses.
What's his
last year.
contract status? Do you know?
I have no
You
idea.
ain't been negotiating.
Yeah.
for him?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I got to go to a meeting
I
with him
think
after
they
this.
signed an extension, but I don't know how long it was. I thought it was last year.
I'm curious if he's up or not. Somebody will text me after the show and tell me. Because he's a guy that's, I mean, he's doing a good job.
Yeah,
Doing a good job. Who picks first?
Freddie.
Let's see. Oh, I
Me.
get to pick first.
Freddie.
I know who's not. Me.
You're on tear. You're on a tear,
Where
dude.
the hell are we going?
Where are you getting your intel from this year?
Nashville.
Nashville.
We're going to Nashville. I'll take.
Don't pick anybody that likes to have fun because that place will kill you. You can't go to Broadway and then go to the racetrack and be competitive.
Let's
Oh, my
see.
God.
Who doesn't like to have fun?
Pick somebody really boring.
Is Chase Elliott on here?
I think Chase likes to have fun.
He does. I'm just at this point. I'm just trolling every.
If I was
Chase
picking
Elliott
somebody that
fan on
wasn't
the
gonna
planet.
That was in my notes for the Chase Elliott fans to be my what an idiot. The ones that fall victim to literally the stereotyping that exists out there. There's many of you Chase Elliott fans that are brilliant, smart, intellectual human beings, and then there's a small percentage of you, these loud mouths, and you just make all the other Chase Elliott fans
I
look
seen
so
this
dumb.
this one girl, and I'm not going to ever give a name because she's ridiculous. But I could not believe Megan actually the one pointed out to me. She was going back and forth. Yeah, it was Megan. She's going back and forth with a bunch of people during the week when he got suspended. She's never watching NASCAR again. It's ridiculous.
Oh.
And I looked.
I love when people say that.
She had 201,000 tweets sent.
Wow.
Since 2012 or something like that. So I'm like, oh, that's probably a lot. I probably tweet a lot myself.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I'm like, how many do I have? I have 17,000.
Wow.
You probably have
A million.
25, 30. No, I bet you don't have anything.
How do I know?
I wanna
If
look.
you go to your Twitter page and like go to your actual profile page.
Okay, profile.
Brett, you have 62,000.
Yeah, you have 62,000.
Wow.
She has.
How do you know how many I got? That ain't none of your business.
It's up
I
here.
have-
I've
like
been
if you
counting.
scroll
I have
up,
9,480.
Yeah.
How many do I have?
If you just go on your thing and scroll up, it'll tell you at the top. So she has 201,000.
Where's that?
Your profile?
Yeah. So if you go here, if you go on your profile and
Yeah.
then scroll up, it tells you under your name up there.
Oh, I just saw it.
Wow, 19,200.
61,000 tweets.
So if we added all ours together, we're probably not 100, and she's at 200,000. We did the math in the 20. We put our engineering staff to really important work one day, and I said, "What's the math on this?" She tweets 50 times a day for 12 years essentially.
Wow.
Like that's
I think
crazy pants.
I think a lot of that came out at Charlotte. I mean, that was probably 400 times a day.
But she like
my favorite thing about your engineering staff is how much they love our show.
they do love.
How many
love
did you have,
spotters.
Carson?
They love the show.
Do what?
How many did you have?
I had 9,400
Oh.
something.
Like put it in
Twitter came out
perspective.
before she was born.
To put it in perspective, Bob Pockris has 200,000 tweets. That's what they're the same, and I mean he tweets 50 times a day probably.
I look at Twitter analytics from time to time, and they've changed it.
Have they?
So in the last 28 days, my tweet impressions is 7.7 million tweet impressions. 23% it's up. But it doesn't have how much I tweeted, and there used to be another category in there. Now it's just tweet impressions and followers.
I
Elon
lost my
didn't want
check
you to
mark
have
and I'm
that.
pissed.
You're
Pay-
pissed. I mean,
just pay $8.
Want $8? I'll give you $8.
Everybody should have to pay $8. We get rid of all those fucking morons out there if everybody had to pay $8.
But to go back
Well, it's
on the
so annoying now because
I-
just anybody can have it. Like people with like 35 followers can have one. So like, what's even the point of having it?
I seen
anymore?
somebody. I all of a sudden I got a series of tweets liked yesterday by Dale, and I'm like, what the is he doing? And I looked, and it was same profile picture, same Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Yeah.
But then it was like DALEE.
Oh, man.
you know,
all those
whatever.
times Dale Jr. retweeted me. It wasn't really
wasn't
him. Son of a...
So but,
I
like,
hate
you
to
don't
break
know
it to you.
anymore, which I'm sure he probably has to keep his blue check. But you have to do it for some because you can get scammed. Like it's.
I think like the really important people have like a gold one or something like that.
Do they?
It's for organizations.
Organizations have like the gold check mark, I guess.
But you have to pay $1,000 for that, I think.
Oh.
Well, I'll do it. I don't care.
Take it out of your mortgage.
I'll bet.
1 month of free rent, Mom, please.
That pays for 2 years of
Speaking
Twitter.
of that, where's Grey Goose today?
Who's great?
Oh, she's off.
Oh,
Golden Goose, dumb.
Bless his heart.
But yeah, anyway,
her name is
to-
Abby.
To close,
I know, but I like
that
Grey
guy
Goose.
Here's
over
the thing:
there.
to close the book on the Chase Elliott fans.
Yes.
I am 100% at this point just trolling you guys on here that go nuts because there's a bunch of them that will tweet out and say they're right or whatever. But it's now just fun to mess with you guys. And
If you start the conversation by saying I'm not one of them, you are one.
yeah, you're the if you don't know one, you are one.
Who you picking?
I am gonna pick Kyle Busch.
Wow. Who goes next?
Casey picks Chase Elliott.
She sucks.
Oh, what
That's
the
who
hell?
was
I don't
gonna
get to pick?
You can.
You can
In a minute. She's got a. We should have just made you pick her pick.
I guess I pick next. I was going to pick Chase Elliott. He's going to have to improve from last week. There's only one way to go, and that's up. Ryan Blaney.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
He's had speed there though until his.
I think Nashville is one of those tracks where it's kind of like a golf course. Like if you get there and you fade the ball a little bit, some courses play into your hand a little bit. I think Nashville has, with the NASCARs racing there this weekend, next
The
weekend.
NASCARs.
I think it literally plays into certain people's driving styles. I think it's that kind of mile and a half.
Agreed.
TJ, who you got?
Oh boy. You guys are swinging pretty hard for the fence. Who'd you pick? Elliott?
I picked Casey picked
Kyle
Elliott.
Busch, Chase Elliott, Ryan Blaney are off the
man.
board. You have 47 other people you can pick from.
I'm going to pick Ricky Stenhouse Jr.
There you go. I won with Ricky.
I mean, if
Ricky's got more speed this year.
Ricky's got a lot of speed.
He hangs
this year.
around there.
Him
So
and Mike
I'm going to
Kelly-
need some help with this one a little bit. But
Listen, him and Mike Kelly have been together for what 50 years now.
Seems like it.
I mean, they're
I think longer than my
and when they get
parents.
together, they run well.
Brothers from different mothers.
Yeah. But yeah, what else we got? I don't even remember what the hell else we're doing.
Yeah,
here.
Well, y'all are off weekend. TJ, you going on a Disney cruise again?
No, absolutely not. I'm not going anywhere.
No,
You're
you're
not going
staying home?
anywhere?
No. Not
I
going.
thought
I'm
you were
staying
going.
home.
What
What are you doing for Father's Day? Cookout?
Where were you going? You're going somewhere. I thought you were flying somewhere straight to the beach.
That's Chicago weekend.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Carson,
Yeah.
what are you doing this off week?
It's not an off week for me. I got to go to Dominion Raceway this weekend with the Cars Tour. So
How is the Cars Tour, Carson? Let's talk about that for a second.
what about
you
it?
enjoy it? Like, I mean, I know we're having fun. I see it all over the place. It's blown up.
Cars
this
Tour
year.
did have the youngest winner this weekend.
Yeah,
Did
12
they?
years old.
Was it? Yeah, I saw
Yeah.
a 12.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
A 12-year-old?
But
Yeah.
What's
not
Bodie
the
doing?
big. It's the pro.
He won
series, I
the
think,
pro
right?
late model race. They just
Still.
had
Yeah.
they had pros at Dillon. Yeah,
Wow.
12 years old.
I mean, I was texting back and forth with Dale Jr. when he and Burton and Harvick, right? That's the three that bought into this thing.
And Justin Marks.
Justin Marks, obviously a very smart marketing guy. Man, if you can pump the purses up and pack the stands, that will be a freaking premier series in this country because it's got all the talent and all the resources in the world to just be awesome for these grassroots markets.
Yeah.
100%.
You throw those star-studded names behind it, you know.
And they put on phenomenal races.
Yeah.
Like phenomenal.
Yeah,
races.
Langley
So-
was a really good race.
That's an awesome racetrack.
Yeah,
That's one of my
I had
favorite
never.
tracks.
I'd only been there once before when LW was racing modifieds, and that last weekend was the first time I was there for a late model race, and it was an amazing facility.
Yeah, Langley, Ace. I mean, there's a bunch of speedways like that literally help build NASCAR into what it is today. So I'm excited those guys on it. I mean, Kevin Harvick put his money where his mouth is. He said a few years back that short track racing had to get better. And the thing is, when it was great, right, Winston had a bunch of money that was going into it. And when Winston went away, NASCAR didn't. They weren't funneling money to it like they were. So it's good to see guys like those back in charge.
Yeah. Well, I am off to the beach, and
How do you
Wear
get
your
to St.
sunscreen.
Martin from here?
you fly.
Yeah.
You fly
Yeah.
into St. Martin.
Oh, you
Same-
fly right there?
Yeah. It's
St. Martin's
So if
really
Do you
nice.
need a passport to go there?
Yes.
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 Oh, so it's not even in our country.
No.
Wait, I thought it was one of the U.S. Virgin Islands.
Or
am I making that
No,
up?
you made that up.
Okay,
it's,
cool.
It's like it's Dutch, I believe. It's like
Oh.
there's a Dutch side and a French side.
Do
we're
you
going
speak
to the
Dutch?
I was not
Yeah,
good
can
at
speak
geography
Dutch.
in high school.
By about 3:00 tomorrow afternoon, I can speak. Just
Are you
going
gonna
to
wear those wooden shoes?
Yeah.
The clogs.
I
I'd
need
like
a
to-
clogging lesson out here before you
I'd
leave.
love to see you walking around in wooden shoes, drunk.
What I will do is I will get a video
So
of
what
it. So
you're
this
saying-
is Airport Beach is what they call it. It's where the airplanes fly directly over your head when
Yeah.
they land.
Oh, no.
So hopefully I don't get clipped by a wing, and I'll be back next week, or 2 weeks.
I
We'll do another
hope
show.
the plane's
but-
okay.
Yeah, Don't worry, they'll be close to the ground. It won't be going very fast, but yeah.
What do you think Shaq wears for wooden shoes? A tree?
Yeah.
A tree trunk.
Anyway, thank you guys for listening. Carson, thank you for stopping by. Next time we'll let you sit at the table, maybe.
Yeah, please.
We will see you soon at Big Al's, I assume, or Saeed's, one or the other. We will. Thanks for coming, though. I mean,
Thanks
I'm
for
sure
having
I'm
me.
sure you really enjoyed
You didn't get
it,
to see her the whole show.
I know.
Is she still
I
back
feel
there?
so far away over here.
I don't like this setup.
That's what it's like with Casey over
I'm gonna
here. It's
file
the
a
same way.
complaint.
That's the same way over here.
Yeah.
You got to look back.
We'll just alternate so me and TJ don't feel awkward every time. But
Or we just.
I looked at a bad picture of Herb McCandless all race. I'm assuming it's Blake's dad. Grandfather.
What's wrong with just turning the table towards us over there?
It's a good feedback. That's good feedback right there. Make that adjustment.
I mean,
What's wrong with the what?
Just turning her table so it's that way, kind of, so you can see her right here behind that camera.
That's fine.
Well, there's not a backdrop that we can use.
Here's
So
what's funny is we
get that
we-
green screen thing again.
They can do this show without us. We can't do this show without them because we have no idea what's going on over
Well,
there.
we had a meltdown pre-show today.
Yeah.
We almost canceled before we started.
We did.
But anyway, thanks for listening. I've run into a bunch of DBC fans again this week. You guys are amazing.
I dropped my kid off this morning at a basketball camp, and this 20-year-old sitting there, and he goes, "That's Bodie." And I was like, Yeah, should I be worried right now? He's like, nah, man, I listen to the podcast.
What has Bodie done now?
I know. We love you guys and appreciate y'all listening, and we'll see y'all after Nashville. Holla.
Word.
See ya.